right, bear with me here one sec. It's finishing the setup. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody. And Jay, I'm going to turn it over to you as our moderator.
Thank you, Adrian. Welcome coaches and fans to the CSAC Cross Country Coaches Fireside Chat as part of the CSAC Raise Your Game program. My name is Jay Butler and I am the CSAC Cross Country Sport Chair, and I also serve as the Director of Athletics at Cairn University. Tonight we will engage with our cross country coaches to get to know them a little better and have some fun. We posted a hashtag on social media as a way for you, the fans, to get your questions answered by our coaches. So stay tuned to see if we ask your question live a little bit later. All right, let's get started by having our coaches introduce themselves. We will go in alphabetical order. So all you're going to do is you're going to tell us your name, school, how many years you have been coaching at your school, and share with us your favorite athletic memory, either from your playing days, running days, or from your coaching experience. So we'll start with my own co-coaches who are on the call tonight. Christopher Palladino, you can go first, followed by Alyssa Hampson.
Okay, I'm Christopher Palladino. This is my first year coaching here at Cairn University. I've been a professor here since 2006. My background actually came to cross country through playing and coaching soccer in Lynchburg, Virginia, well, coaching soccer in Lynchburg, Virginia, and then ended up coaching cross country on a whim and fell in love with the sport immediately. My favorite running memory in terms of my own running is probably competing in the Hellgate 100K plus down in Central Virginia. It's a midnight start. The second year I ran it, I didn't realize this could happen to people, but the wind chill was below zero and people's corneas froze and called temporary blindness. So that did not happen to me, but I was like, wow, this is a pretty intense sport. It was only my third or fourth ultra at the time. Since then I've run many others, and I just have learned to be so fond of being on trails and in isolated areas, and it's meant a lot to me.
Hello, my name is Alyssa Hampson, and I am the associate coach for cross country at Cairn. This is also my first year coaching. However, I did run for Cairn for 4 years, so I have experienced the student athlete side of it, and I'm excited to be venturing into the coaching side of it now. My favorite athletic memory from running, it's actually pretty recent, and it's related to Chris. I've recently gotten into ultra marathoning because of Chris, and I recently ran a 50K in February, and it was just something about running that long on trails, often alone, and there was just something I really enjoyed about it, despite running it with a blown out knee. But so.
Thank you very much. Next up is Cedar Crest.
Hi, so I'm Alec Duncan. I'm the head coach of cross country and track and field here at Cedar Crest College. This is my 5th year at Cedar Crest. One of my best memories from the coaching side of things, we took 3rd at last year's cross country championship, and I had a team comprised of almost all freshmen. So that was pretty exciting to have such a young squad that came in and stepped up big time at a big meet like that.
Great. Clark Summit.
Hello, my name is Susanna Haynes, and I'm the head cross-country coach at Clark Summit University. This is my 4th year coaching there, and my favorite coaching memory would be last fall when our women's team won the CSAC championship. I just have such great memories of that day.
Awesome. Keystone.
Hi, I'm Ian Hankins. I'm the head coach here at Keystone College. This is my first year at Keystone. I started the day everything shut down due to COVID. I've been coaching at the college level for 10 years, and this is my third head coaching stop. I was at Potomac State and Catholic before Keystone. And I have many favorite athletic memories, especially all my trips to national. It's a unique part about my coaching career is I've made the national championships at every level: high school, JUCO, NAIA, and the NCAA. But what stands out most is taking my squad at Potomac State when we were in our second year as a program. And we ended up having the individual national runner-up and finishing fourth as a team in Massachusetts, where I thought it would be really cold, but it turned out to be a hot 70-degree day. So that's probably the highlight of my coaching career to this point.
And our final introduction comes from Notre Dame.
Hi, I'm John Caslin. I'm started at Notre Dame as a cross-country coach in June, but this is my 37th year of coaching, and the stops at Goucher College for the last 26 years. I was at Goucher College. Before that, I was a high school coach. My biggest moment probably as a coach was in 2000, having Jeff Olenek finish 7th in the country at the Division III National Championships. So the first cross-country All-American at Goucher. So that's
Outstanding. Well, fans, you see who you have in front of you today. We're going to get started with some questions that the CSAC office has put together. We're going to go ahead and randomly pick coaches to go through just to get different flavor from first through the final contributor. So question number one, this is for all of you. What do you enjoy most about being part of the cross-country community within the CSAC conference? And we're going to start with Ian from Keystone.
Well, I'm undefeated, so that's pretty nice.
Amen to that, brother.
I would say everybody's been so welcoming since I started at Keystone, and it's really nice to see some familiar faces within our cross-country and track conference with John Caslin at Notre Dame and Brian over at Gallaudet. So it's nice to have some friendly rivals in the conference.
We'll go to Cedar Crest and Alec next.
I think what I found most exciting is the opportunity for growth. Since I came here, just seeing the way the competition's evolved has been great, and kind of going off of the cross country track, but adding track and field as a conference and as a school, and seeing some more schools add track, that's been really exciting. I think ultimately that'll just lead to some more exciting championship races and individual battles, and ultimately team battles as well.
Next up, we have Clark Summit, Susanna.
What I probably like the most is how the CSAC is a little bit smaller, so it allows you to get to know the coaches and the athletes a little bit more. It's just nice to see how everyone supports each other, even people that aren't on their teams. And a lot of my athletes have built relationships with people from other teams. It's just a nice, supportive atmosphere.
John from Notre Dame.
well. I'm looking forward to just being a part of the conference. I find that what always holds true, no matter what happens, is that the conference and the conference coaches are consistent and continue to move forward. And I'm looking forward to being part of that.
Outstanding. And finally, we'll allow either Christopher or Alyssa to take this question on behalf of Karen.
I will take it since I've been part of the CSAC as an athlete, at least. But I'll just echo Susanna. I really enjoy the small nature of the CSAC, and like she said, it really allows us to get to know each other and to support each other, even though we are competing against each other. One of my favorite memories from when I was running as a student athlete was after one of our invitationals, we had a picnic with CSAC schools. So that was really fun to partake in and get to know some of the people that we run with.
Awesome. We're going to get a chance to get to know these people a little bit closer now. And question number two, very simply is, name one fact about your athletic background that your team doesn't know. So that's a fun little question, and we'll start with John at Notre Dame.
Well, I guess my experience starting out as an athlete was that I played football, basketball, and found track and field and cross country as I moved through high school and absolutely fell in love with it. And the other part of that is, reflecting on that, is I've always wanted to coach. And one of the aspects of growing up was I was really intrigued by watching coaches and watching strategy and how they did that. And that's always stuck with me as how that to me is the most exciting part, is trying to make it all work.
We'll go with Christopher at Cairn.
So I was about 28 years old when I ran my first race. I didn't understand why people would run something and pay money without a ball. To me, I didn't get that. Again, I came to this through playing soccer. I ran as fast as I could because I thought that's what you do. It was a 10-miler. My first couple miles were all around, I was in like the top 100, about a couple thousand. And then I hit mile 5. And the wheels came off, and I felt I was passed by about 400 people, and I think a juggler as well passed me at some point. And then I finished, and actually, even though the second half took me almost twice as long as the first half, I loved it. And that was the beginning of my running career, and I really have never looked back. So I learned a lot from the experience, and learned that this was something that slowly, as I ran more races, that I wanted to be part of.
Ian from Keystone.
Well, in 8th grade, I made a game-winning shot in the basketball championship in Valdez, Alaska. And I was also the tallest person on the team, believe it or not.
There you go. Alec from Cedar Crest.
So when I started my college running career, I wasn't entirely bought into the idea of being an athlete in college. And then I went on to be named Rookie of the Year at the cross country championship. And my teammates were probably more excited about it than I was. And seeing that, camaraderie and the support from my team is what kept me in it. And, obviously glad I did, because now I coach it. But that's something that I strive for with my team, is that support from the teammates and celebrating other success. And I feel pretty confident in saying that it exists on the team now, and I hope it continues.
What school did you attend, Alec?
I went to Moravian College, so
Okay.
I was racing against Coach John.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. And last, we have Susanna from Clark Summit.
This is really hard because I didn't actually do any sports growing up. I kind of got into running later, and I've competed in several marathons, including Boston, but I don't really have a lot of athletic experience in my past. So.
Well, running. So what other marathons did you compete in?
I've done Steamtown, which is in Scranton. I think I've done that 4 times, and then I did Boston once. So I have running experience, but I never ran track or cross country.
So how fun is Heartbreak Hill?
How fun?
Yeah, how fun is Heartbreak Hill?
It's not that bad. After running hills here in Pennsylvania, it's nothing.
Okay, there you go. See, it's all relative, right? That's exactly right. It's all relative. All right, we're going to move on to question number 3. This is a great question, I think, because and you really don't have to keep to one word, but if you can, that's great. How would your team describe you in one word? And we're going to go right to the person we just finished with. We'll have Susanna start us off with, how would your team describe you in one word?
It's hard, but I would say passionate.
Why do you say that?
Because I'm very passionate about the sport. Like, I really enjoy coaching. I'm always pushing them to try to do their best. And I think in general, I'm a pretty passionate person about life, and it kind of carries over into my coaching.
Great. John from Notre Dame.
Great question. Since I've only met with them online, it's the program itself, though. Patrick Donahue's done a really nice job of incorporating. They would say they are very much a family, and they're looking for guidance from coaches. And hopefully, I know that they hope that the coach that they have really understands a Division III student athlete, and I hope that's what I bring to it.
Great. Ian from Keystone.
I would say energetic. I'm the guy running around the course, the loudest person on the course, so I bring up a lot of energy. My team actually told me, Coach, we need to run a race. You have too much energy. So.
Hey, Ian, just as a quick side note, how are your, I noticed I always check around the CSAC websites to see what people are doing and things, how things are going as an AD. How are your virtual races going?
Not many people have signed up, but it was an idea. So
okay,
I was hoping for more.
We'll quickly mention later on that we're actually trying to host some races down here in Bucks County. So we'll maybe give a quick shout out to the Kieran coaches about what we're trying to do later on. But I'm even on the moderator, I can't take advantage of this microphone too much, right? We'll go with Karen next if they both want to participate, or one of them, about how does the team describe you?
I'll go first there, Liz, if you like. I even kind of took a word. I think they would describe me as just having a lot of energy out on the course, but also in the hallways, in the class, it carries over. But I like to think that they would even think of me as someone who's integrated. One of the things that Liz and I were kind of passionate about in becoming coaches was to see the intersections between the academic world, the athletic world, our spiritual lives, and seeing those things woven together within the mission of Cairn has been an important part of our coaching objectives.
I would say that our team probably would describe me as focused, that I'm a generally pretty quiet person, and I think that's a manifestation of my focus. When I'm really into something or doing a task, I tend to just narrow in, and I think that's apparent in my running as well. So.
And lastly, Alec from Cedar Crest.
I don't know if it necessarily describes me, but I would say the word that my team associates with me is quality, because it was kind of the unofficial motto of last year. Everything that we did, from recovery runs or showing up at events and things like that, I wanted to make sure everything that we were doing was quality. So it kind of turned into a bit of a joke amongst the team last year. Every time they saw quality, they had to point it out to me.
Here's another fun question, just for us to get to know you sort of as individuals off the coaching trails and maybe in life. So question number 4 basically says, what do you like to do in your downtime or to just blow off steam? So, maybe some hobbies, some interests you have. Really going to give us an opportunity to sort of get to know you from a different point of view. And we'll start with John from Notre Dame.
Oh, lately, because of the pandemic, I had my left hip replaced about a year ago, July, and the pandemic's allowed me to really get back into. I haven't really I'm not supposed to start really running, but I'm walking 5 to 6 miles a day, and so that certainly has helped both physically and mentally move forward on things. I love to travel into small towns throughout the Mideast region and just find them and see what's going on. And then I love, reading is a passion of mine. So
I'm glad to hear your recovery is going well with that replacement.
Going great.
It's amazing how sports medicine has advanced to allow us to do these things and get back up on our feet within days of major surgery. That's awesome. How about you, Alec from Cedar Crest?
Well, obviously running is my go-to for I guess relaxing. But also, I got really into cooking since quarantine. Putting on some records or something and just cooking a new recipe has been super relaxing. Whatever the result is, it's always positive because you get food at the end.
So what recipe are you bringing to beat Bobby Flay in his show?
I don't know. I've been using Shalane Flanagan's cookbook quite a bit. So probably anything from there would be both very healthy and very good.
Why am I surprised you're using her cookbook? I mean, come on. You're not using a cookbook by Paula Deen? Come on now.
Yeah, no Guy Fieri for me.
All right, next we're going to go to Ian from Keystone.
I like spending time with my family, watching my Washington Nationals. It was pretty cool being in DC last year when they won the World Series. And I enjoy spending summers at my in-laws in Lewis, Delaware, because after coaching 6 sports, you really need that downtime in the summer.
Not a bad place to go to. Good idea. How about Susanna from Clark Summit?
Well, like Alex said, I love to run. That's like my number one thing to do to relax and just distress. But also in the wintertime, I love to ski. I'll do that when I can't get out to run as much. And I also love to bake. Baking is one of my favorite things to do. So, yeah.
So my address is 200 Manor Avenue, Langhorne, Pennsylvania. I'll take a care package of baked cookies anytime, Susanna, okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
And finally, we'll go to the Cairn coaches, whoever wants to go first.
I'll go first. Something that I really like to do to relax, and it's just something that I enjoy, is traveling. And I have found the intersection of traveling with running to be really great as well. I've been able to run in some pretty incredible places. And I have found that I've gotten to see a lot more of where I am at because I'm running there. And so it's faster.
Are we going to see you on TV anytime soon in one of those reality shows? Like, what's the name of those shows?
Oh, The Amazing Race.
The Amazing Race, there you go.
No, that's not my philosophy of travel.
Okay.
Even though I'm running, I'm not, it's not a jump to jump thing.
There you go.
But like Ian, I like to spend time with family. I do like to travel as well. My daughter and I, she's a Cairn student and a cross-country runner, we've had the privilege of going all over the world in recent years. But more recently, in terms of stress and with the pandemic, I've gotten into cycling, road cycling, which I did not anticipate. And I really have enjoyed it. It's not going to, I have a couple cycling friends who are thinking that's going to replace running. I am a runner. I do cycling as a hobby, but I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I've been surprised how much I like it.
Well, there you go, fans. You're getting to know these coaches in a real intimate way. We have gotten down to our last question created by the CSAC office, and then we'll have some questions that have been created from the fans. So question number 5, our last question, and I always love this one because being an athletic director, I like to believe in my life in the last 30 plus years of being in higher education that maybe I've played a role of being a mentor to some student athletes and coaches. So for you all, who is your sports mentor, and why did that person have such an impact on your life? And we'll start out with Ian from Keystone.
I have a few mentors, but I really have to give credit to the success of my career to the late Zach Kindler, who was my mentor at Baker University. He is the one who gave me my first coaching job in the college level after applying to over 100 schools to try to be a GA and get my foot in the door somewhere. I even was right before my Baker interview, I got turned down by the conference rival Central Methodist University. So Zach brought me out to the great Midwest. I didn't know much about the Midwest. I have some family out there, but so Baker was really on the cusp of being a conference power when I arrived, coming off a women's cross country championship, men's track championship, and I was given full control of the cross country and distance program because Zach really trusted me and he really believed in me. So he gave me more and more day-to-day responsibilities with the budget, the recruiting, promoting on social media, which was kind of new at the time, and serving as the meet director for the cross country and track meets, including the conference championship where it actually snowed and we had to shovel the track at 6 a.m. So he wanted me to be a head coach, and he really pushed me because he saw my natural born ability to lead and coach the distance runners, developing athletes into national caliber athletes. And sometimes it was tough love, but it was exactly what I needed. At the end of the day, he's the one who believed in me first and always believed in me. And he always began each day asking how I was, how my family was, and he continued that after my time as a GA was up. And we built a national power, really. We won 10 conference championships, got 10th at nationals in cross country, 5th in track. But unfortunately, Zach passed away when he was only 35 years old due to an undiagnosed tumor. He actually passed away a week before I started as the head coach at Potomac State, and he left behind a wife and 3 kids. And ironically, my other mentor that really got my start in coaching, Walt Klein, was Zach's throws coach at Fort Hays State in Kansas. I was coaching with Walt in the DC area at my alma mater in high school. And then I would also be remiss if I don't mention the legend Catholic University's former women's coach, Joe Fisher. He's really why I'm at Keystone right now. He has a foundation for first generation students, and he really has the mission to get them going to college. So, and at Keystone, that they have the opportunity to really work with the first generation students. So it's my hope and goal to live out Joe Fisher's mission here at Keystone.
That's outstanding. How about you, John, at Notre Dame?
I've worked with, I've had the opportunity to work with some amazing assistant coaches and of course, coaching as long as I have amazing Division III coaches. But as I think about mentoring, especially as a college coach, I had the opportunity to work with Jeff Miller as the athletic director at Goucher for 24 years. And Jeff epitomizes everything that is right about understanding Division III and the student athlete, making sure that each student athlete is taken care of, that each student athlete is cared about. Most amazing athletic director I ever met that knew every name of every student athlete that walked in the building. And not only did that, got to know every student. So the learning curve for that was tremendous. And the other piece was understanding as a mentor that he wasn't always just there. He was extremely there in the tough moments. I've had the unfortunate situation to have 2 student athletes over 24 years die by suicide. And Jeff and I, it was a perseverance. It was a learning and having someone there that cares. And hopefully that's what I've learned about coaching at Division III is what I've learned from Jeff. So.
Well, I'm fortunate to know Jeff personally myself, and I would agree with you 100%. But I actually thought maybe you were going to say Sally Baum.
Well, Sally and I are best of friends, and yeah, Sally. I have lunch with Sally about once a month right now. So yeah. So.
I know those folks.
It was an interesting finish for both of us at Goucher. So.
Sure. Yeah, I know those folks over at Goucher because I spent some time at St. Mary's College in Maryland. I spent some time at Hood College. And so obviously we would always compete against Goucher in different sports. So great. We've got Susanna from Clark Summit next.
Well, my friend Rob Ahrens, who is the head cross-country coach over at Marywood University, which is like 10 minutes from Clark Summit, was the person that got me into coaching, and I've always been able to go to him with a lot of questions, and he just helped me out a lot. I admire him as a runner, And as a coach, he's done a lot for his program. So I would say I really just look up to him and admire him as a coach.
Great. How about Alec at Cedar Crest?
I would have to say my college and cross country and track and field coach, Jesse Bauman, over at Moravian. He's built an incredible program over there. And he's someone that I can go to with, every and any question. I think when we hosted our cross country championships back in 2018, I think I was on the phone with Jesse every other day with questions about everything from how do I get porta potties to what kind of paint should we line the course with. So, yeah, he's certainly someone that I've been able to turn to with all of this, and definitely admire as a coach.
And we'll finish up with our Cairn coaches.
Yeah, I can go first, Alyssa. For me, there's two coaches. I've had many from different sports, but they stand out. And the first one was my dad. He was really my first coach who made me think for the first time about becoming a coach and seeing what it took as someone who dedicated his life to, or his coaching life to helping kids learn how to love soccer and love a sport that went beyond just playing it. What it meant to really live out that love of sport. And the other one was, and my dad actually, the ironic thing was when I became a high school soccer coach in Lynchburg in a public school called Heritage, my dad became my assistant coach in his retirement years before he passed away, and that meant a great deal to me. The other one was I played for the Pennsylvania State select team for a number of years as a soccer player, and the coach there, Richard Sorkin, really taught me how to treat athletes as individuals and to get to know them individually. I think out of all the coaches outside of my dad, he knew how to coach me, and he knew that the things that might have worked for another athlete wouldn't have worked for me. And I think that just inspired me in all the years I've coached both soccer and cross country to really get to know the athletes and the students individually. And the friendships and relationships I can grow from that, because he became a really dear friend of mine over the decades.
At the risk of putting Chris in the spotlight here, I would say that recently Chris has really become my sport athletic mentor by introducing me to the world of trail running and ultramarathoning, and really helped me rejuvenate my love of running that I felt like I had lost for a couple of years. And then also, in addition to that, roping me into this coaching thing. I appreciate it so much, and I don't think I would want to coach with anybody else. It's like I'm living the dream. So.
Well, what a great thing to hear. That's one of the things that we all are in this athletic profession because we love to impact the lives of the young kids that we're coaching, right? And just to hear those stories from each of you and people that made a difference in your life is very inspiring. So 2 questions that we have, and I think Adrian has a third. The first question came from the Keystone Athletic area. And the question, and this is, you all can answer if you'd like. I'm not going to call names, but if you have an answer to this question, you want to share it, fine. If not, that's okay too. So the question is, what is the funniest thing that has ever happened to you while you were on a run? Besides freezing retinas or whatever, eyelids.
I don't know where to begin with the list, but the first thing that came to mind was last summer I was stung on my uvula by like a wasp, and it swelled to the point where I struggled swallowing and breathing.
Wow, there you go. Anybody else have any funny experiences?
I fall a lot. Chris can So what we have trail names, and I'm called the Rolling Stone, and it sounds cool, but it's actually not, because it's just because I fall a lot, and I have fallen in many a mud puddle, and I'm sure it's been funny for everyone around me.
Well, Alyssa, see, what you have to do is you have to turn that into, hey, I thought we were running a tough mudder today,
Right,
so
yeah.
I made this run into a tough mudder for myself. You just got to go with the flow, right?
I just was making it more intense.
There you go. Anybody else have anything to share about the funniest experience while being out running?
I also fall a lot. And when I was in high school, my teammates used to make fun of me because we were named the trail as Ian Falls. But one time I fell, and I wasn't very close to the school. I was about 2 miles away, and I cut my knee up pretty good. But I'm like, oh, I'm bleeding a little bit. So I decided to run back to the school. When I get back, like, my sock and shoe was drenched in blood, and I ended up having to get 15 stitches. So that was not fun.
I know we sort of heard this answer to the second question, which comes from the Clark Summit family. We've heard Christopher's ultra marathoner, distance runner. Alyssa has toyed with it a little bit. They can answer this question as well. But for the rest of you, what is the longest distance you've run, and for what reason? Meaning that, did you just do it because you wanted to torture yourself, or did you do it for a reason to support some sort of a charity?
I'll go first. It's not that exciting. I just did a 15 miler for a long run, I guess the summer going into my senior year. I knew I had to get in a good long run, so 15 it was.
I had one of those 10 miles that turned into a 22 miler one time, but you know.
I want to hear that story. Would you get lost?
Yeah, it happens.
It sure does. So we know Susanna's done a couple of marathons.
Yeah, I've done. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, I've done a couple marathons, but one time my friend and I, who were training for the Steamtown Marathon, decided it would be a good idea to go out and actually run the whole marathon a couple months before. We got lost on the course and ended up doing like 28 miles. So my longest run is a little over a marathon, then it wasn't a good idea to do that a couple months before the race.
My longest run's 26.2 miles. I don't know why, but I decided to run a marathon. I thought it was going to be good enough to try to qualify to the Olympic trial. So I ran the Marine Corps Marathon, and I was in second place at mile 24. And I didn't make it. So I literally passed out at the finish line. So I ran 26.2 miles on the button. And fun fact, the marathon, he ran 24 miles. He didn't make it. So I don't know why a marathon is 26.2 miles. They should change that.
Okay, well, Adrienne has joined us back, and I think she's got one other question potentially. Is that correct, Adrienne?
I do, and I think some of you have also touched on this a little bit, but I think it'll be a good way to wrap things up. This question comes from one of our Facebook followers, Logan Brady, and the question is, what is your favorite part of coaching cross country?
Watching the student athlete improve. Cross country is a sport that allows every student athlete the opportunity to improve. Doesn't matter where you start, it's where you finish, and every one of them can get better, and some of them get way better, and some of them get better, but everybody has the opportunity to improve, and it's what you bring to the table and where you go from there.
Yeah, I would agree with John. I coached soccer in Lynchburg, Virginia, and Central Virginia is played in the spring. And so I coached both seasons for a while, and cross country was new to me, starting in like 2000, 2001. And what I loved about it is exactly what John's describing. And to the point where I gave up soccer, even though it was part of my life for so long. I drank the proverbial cross country Kool-Aid. I love seeing people do hard things that they didn't think they were capable of. Recruiting kids right out of my classroom, at one point we built a program that had about 45 runners, and seeing kids who never ever even thought themselves as athletic doing things that they were just so proud of, even if it was just simply breaking 30 minutes for a 5K. And so celebrating those individual runners and getting to know them in those hard places and seeing them overcome those things and see how that plays out in their lives for the rest of their life. It's just really inspiring. And so, yeah, I've loved cross country since. So John, you speak it well. Yeah.
I'm a fan of a lot of the strategizing that goes into the big championship races and things like that. I don't know, there is just so much more strategy than the average person might think goes into running cross country and coaching it as well. Keeping an eye on who's doing what every weekend and what that course is like. And, oh, it's a hilly course, so that time, they're probably a little bit faster than that and things like that. So, that's what I've always, in my 5 years here, that's what I've found to be one of the more exciting parts of it.
I also like the strategy part. Like, every course is different. Every times don't really matter in cross country. It's just about creating a culture, a family type atmosphere. I love the family part of cross country. Like, you really come together as family. You're each other's best friends. And it's just a really close group of people working to a common goal, and knowing that it's really not an art of recruiting a cross-country athlete as compared to a track athlete. Like, you don't know how good somebody's going to get when they come out of high school. When you get them to college, it's all about the development and the strategy. Like, you can have a 17-minute runner who's going to be a national runner-up. You just don't really know until you get to know the person as on an individual basis each day and really create a culture of togetherness.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love all those answers. And I would say, certainly not from a coaching perspective, but from the conference office perspective, from every cross-country championship that I have attended, the thing that I love the most is as soon as those runners cross the finish line, they circle right back to, the home stretch to cheer on the runners that are still on the course, right? And I just love seeing that supportive atmosphere that I think a lot of you guys have touched on as well. So that's something that I just think stands out in the sport of cross country more than any other sport. So awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. This is going to wrap up our fireside chat with our cross country group tonight. I want to thank Jay Butler for doing an awesome job of being the moderator for our discussion. Thank you to our coaches for contributing tonight, and I loved getting to know all of you a little better. Hopefully you felt the same. And thank you to the fans for tuning in tonight. We're so glad that you joined us for this fireside chat. Before we close, I just want to remind everyone of a couple of dates that are coming up for our Raise Your Game program on the calendar. Next Wednesday, October 21st at 7 o'clock, we will have a presentation hosted by Alan Snook from Cedar Crest College and Renee Bostic from Notre Dame of Maryland University, centered around social justice and getting into good trouble. So again, that's Wednesday, October 21st at 7 o'clock. And also make sure to mark your calendar for our next fireside chat that will feature the men's soccer coaching group from the CSAC. That will be Wednesday, October 28th, also at 7 o'clock. And finally, please visit our website, csacsports.org/raiseyourgame for all of our programming details this semester. And follow us on social media at CSAC Sports to keep up with all the latest on the Raise Your Game program and everything with the CSAC. So with that, thank you all for joining us tonight. Have a great evening and stay safe. Bye-bye. Thanks.